And welcome back to our second segment. This is Open Your Eyes, and we're about to jump on into another very important topic. First-time voters speak on campaign and the experience for the upcoming ICJ referendum. Now we've got these guys in with us. Actually, we've got Britney Hulse, who is in with us. She's a student of UB. We have Giannie Vasquez, we've got Roberto Ramirez, and we've got Jaime Mejia, all students of the University of Belize. Guys, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Hi.
You know, we voted yesterday that you guys are going to be here. But it's so nice to have you guys in. It's a beautiful morning, actually.
Oh, yes, it is.
And we want to jump right into it. First time voting and the feeling. What does it mean to you? Having to go on in and to register. What was that like for you? How do you feel?
Well, it gives us, gave me a sense of like patriotic for our country. So, you know, we have that sense of like, you know, responsibility now that we have, that we're voting now, and that will be our first time. So it's like, you know, a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're all a little bit nervous.
Was it like, yeah, you register now? Was it
it's
like
just
that?
like, you know, we have this greater responsibility if we could make a slight change with our voting.
Mm.
So wait, did you choose to go out and register and vote? Did you have people come to you and say, hey, let us help you with the process? What was it like?
I feel like for on my hand, I just realized that the older we get, we have more responsibility to choose for our next generation and for years to come. So I was just like, I'm getting older. The reality of it is that I need to go register to vote because my opinion matters with the decisions that are happening in Belize.
Yeah.
For me, it was like UB was having this whole register to vote, and they had a facility to do that. So I was like, why not? It's good to have options open. So I decided, yeah, I'll go ahead and register for it.
So they made it a bit simpler for you.
Yes, they made it quite easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for me, I just kind of like went on my own, but as soon as like, you know, I became of age, my parents are like, okay, you're of age now, so you have to go register, and I'm like, I know, I'll go register. So yeah, but I feel like, you know, as a proud Belizean, you know, I will make my voice matter, and I will put in my vote because, you know, I have a choice now.
So 3 of you are 19, one's 20, right? This is your first official voting exercise?
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
So what happened to the municipal election?
Oh, like last year.
That was
The year before.
when was the municipal election?
Last year?
Last
year
year.
before.
Yeah.
Last
For
year?
me, I was kind of dodging it to register to vote. I don't know why, because it's just I just avoided it as long as I possibly could, and then reality hit me. I'm turning 20 this year, and my mom's like, you need to register to vote. And this upcoming ICJ thing, my mom was like, you need to register to vote because this is important.
Yeah.
This decides the decision in Belize. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll finally go register and vote.
You know, which
So
of
the
these
momentum behind all the referendum talk really
Yeah.
reinforced for you the responsibility and privilege that you have
Yeah.
as a voter.
So when it opened the window for the re-registration process, what was that conversation like at home? Did we engage the parents? Did the parents engage you in terms of, you know what, I think you guys really need to go? What was the conversation like at home?
Okay, well, my parents and my grandparents pushed me to go and register to vote, as I didn't register before. The first time I registered was when the re-registering process was taking place.
Okay.
And my parents they pushed me to go vote because, you know, it's one of my rights to, like, you know, to have my opinion and say what happens to our country.
Oh yeah. I still kind of dodged the re-registration, and it's so funny because my mom's like, go register, and I'm busy during the week because of school. So finally on a Friday after my class, my mom and I decided we're gonna go register. So we just went up there, and it was an easy process, and then it was so quick. I was like, that's it, because I thought it'd be a lengthy process and be, you know, dragging, and I thought I'd be waiting there for like hours and hours, but it was so quick. I was like, I should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, it was my parents. It was actually my first time registering when they opened the re-registration. So, you know, like one day my parents, well, my mom actually, she just decided, she's like, okay, get ready. I'm gonna go take you to register. So I'm like, okay. So I go get ready, and so we went. And like Rob mentioned, I thought it would have been a very long process, and I thought like, I don't know what all you're gonna ask me. What if I forget or something? But it was just like 15 minutes, and I was like, oh, could have done this. Yeah, so it was simple. Yeah.
Welcome to adulthood and
Oh.
population.
It's a bittersweet moment.
This will continue.
Wow.
So there are different people who have different motivations behind registering to vote and participating in processes like this. So some people have grown up in political families, and basically, you know, they're carrying on the tradition of what parents, grandparents, and everybody else involved in the family has voted. And then there's some who kind of recognize a possibility or a responsibility that you have in contributing towards a decision-making process. So tell me, where do you fall in that category? How much of it is prompted behind kind of fulfilling tradition, and how much of it is because you really feel that your voice and your one vote will matter?
Well, I did grow up in a political family. It's, you know, it's every time around like politics come, you know, like my family's like so motivated for it. So I guess maybe that made an impact on me growing up to like, as in feeling that, you know, I matter and I have to be like a part of voting and stuff like that. And another reason is that, well, I do have like a very strong opinion, and I know my position. So I feel like I should go out there, and I mean, my vote, I don't know, maybe can make a difference. And so I said, you know, I will go vote, and I will vote on what I feel is best for my country.
Do you get into arguments with your family members?
Not really, because we all kind of stand on the same side.
Okay.
That's good.
You do?
Yeah.
For me, it's not my parents and my family personally. We haven't been like a very like political kind of party. Like we stand neutral and stuff like that.
Not necessarily subscribing to a party, but you pay attention to politically what's happening.
Yeah. So for us, it's just, for me, the choice to vote, to have a sense of opinion and have a choice in matters in the country really speaks out to my individuality and me as a person, and especially me as a Belizean citizen. So knowing that I can have an impact even with my one vote really means a lot to me.
Right. And well, for me, my family isn't very politically charged at all. But like for me, I think it's just something important for you to cast your opinion on whatever matters at hand. And I don't really believe in like voting necessarily because my parents voted in a certain party that I'd vote after that party, because I believe I have my own beliefs and things that I support. So I definitely believe that everyone should vote dependent on what they believe and not what their forefathers believed.
So the third category of people are those who just feel that voting, no voting, they have no voice. They can't do anything. People, you know, politicians will do what they want anyway. The voter apathy. And I want to ask you, so you are the shining examples of the young people we want. Those who are going to be involved. But what's it like for your classmates? What's the level of apathy that you're seeing from people at school, or even just your friend circles if they're already working, in their interest in getting involved?
Well, I know some people that are really invested in it and are very knowledgeable of the topics, and they go to the debates and such as they have at UB. But there's also the students that, you know, don't really have the time for it, or just don't really care as much, I would say. But they are still, it's just so, sometimes it's just hard to get informed from everything that's going on. But overall, most students either are like on the fence about it, like, you know, they're not sure which side to pick, because, you know, it's very political, how the politicians are just making it very like politicians.
And I feel like a lot of people, they kind of shy away from the voting and everything because they want to avoid conflict in that sense. Like they feel like they don't want to take part in anything that happens. They're afraid of the consequences. And well, I guess it shouldn't be that way, but this is kind of how it is.
Because the reality of it, if this certain let's say this certain person choose this decision, another group of people might bash on them for choosing what they want, and the reality of it is that, you know, everybody has their own opinion and everybody has their own right to their own choice. So a lot of people are on the fence about it, and another reality is a lot of people don't even, see the fence because they're not very informed about it.
Yeah.
And the sad part of it is that our age group, majority if not all, are just not well informed about it, and so they just need. I feel like if they get more informed, they're gonna have a stronger opinion, and then they can decide what they want.
What you guys have had forums and debates, and so how is it that people are not getting the information?
Why do you think that's
because at the University of Belize they do forums and stuff at the auditorium and even at the UB gym, but at the same time that kind of clashes with some students' classes. So it's either go to class or be informed, and I mean, you kind of want to go to class, but you kind of don't want to go to class, but you just end up going to class. And even if the teacher cancels the class, majority, if not all, won't even go because class is canceled. I'm done for today. So that's just,
Free period.
Yeah, exactly.
Move on. Let's do something
I'm
else.
done for today. Let's get lunch or something.
So I was telling you during the break, and I realized that it might be my age that is perhaps seeing it this way, but I really think it's so exciting that you're at this age where you're part of such a historic moment.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it just hasn't really, the gravity of it hasn't registered as yet, but when you look at how the conversation is unfolding around making this very important decision for a country, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm very nervous for the most part. I mean, even though I'm strong behind my side, I still feel very nervous because I hear other people's opinions, and even though I'm still standing my ground, it's just sometimes I get a little bit undecisive, but then I come back and I'm like, no, this is what I'm voting. But I think knowing that they might have consequences or might not, either which way, it's still very hard because it's like it's not just going to impact you, but it's in the entire country. So it's like very hard, I guess.
Yeah, you understand the gravity.
Yeah,
of it.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but when you hear, I mean, listen, we see. There are a multitude of shows, there are a multitude of forums, there are a multitude of debates, you can't not, and if you're on social media, I'm sure, you can't miss all this inundation of information that's coming forward. Do you feel it's been helpful in getting you to make a decision, or do you feel that it's kind of turned some people off?
In my personal opinion, it kind of turned me off.
Why is that?
Explain.
Specifically because I feel like there's a certain degree of bias between each one, and I wish they would just give me like straight facts, like just let me make my opinion and just.
What's straight facts in your perspective?
Well, something that won't really have an underlying tone to it. So they'll give me both pros and cons, and not just a list of pros that kind of just.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it, and I feel like that's kind of misguiding. So like I'd really just appreciate like a nice weight on both sides.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. Yeah, because even at the university they have forums, and they sway towards a certain kind of decision, and I'm just there like, I mean, if you're gonna do a forum, just be neutral so that people can generate their own kind of opinion and generate their own kind of thoughts about it. Because if you're just gonna sway to a certain decision, then what's the point of having a forum? You're just telling people what to think.
Yeah,
so the straight facts, the general facts, you say a story about one side and you say a story about the other side, and you let the people decide on what they want to do.
So have you listened at the UB for to both sides? Have you heard a yes? Have you heard a no? Or was it just a forum on?
Yeah, that's why it's like very biased, where they just like mostly push like one side for you, like they're like be informed, like know both sides, but like the whole debate is just like pushing one side to make you vote that one way.
It's like an oxymoron where they start, this is your decision, but please just join us and choose this decision. And I'm just like, what's the sense of saying this is our decision if you're just gonna be like, just come on this side?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me hear your thoughts and be as brave as you feel. So what I hear from you is what you're saying about, is it the yes campaign or the referendum unit? What are we talking about here?
Well,
so the referendum unit by definition is the impartial body that tells you just the facts.
Right.
There's a yes campaign and there's a no campaign. I want you to tell me your response to how these different campaigns have been executed.
Well, in my opinion, each campaign has done more dividing the country than uniting it. Because even just going through Facebook comments, like you just look and some people say no, and then other people are gonna be like, oh, you don't care about the country. Some people say yes, oh, you're just trying to give the country away.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it shouldn't be that. I think that no voters and yes voters deeply care about the country. They just have different opinions on how they think protecting the country looks like. And just dividing us into these categories, they just create animosity in the country, and I don't feel that's right.
Yeah, and the reality of it is that even if you choose yes and even if you choose no, as James said, it's your decision, it's your opinion, and at the ending of the day, this is just not a yes or a no. This is all about Belize. This is about us as Belizeans uniting. So even if you say yes, even if you say no, I don't think you should trash on the other and, you know, barge in on their opinions, because that's their choice.
What are your thoughts, Britney?
Because they're making it political, bringing you put you against each other, and it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like at this time we're supposed to be all like well united, showing as one to Guatemala, and we're not doing that. We're just like fighting within ourselves internally, and we won't it just doesn't work, because then it's just becoming all about politics.
Which leads me to ask the question: we hear a yes from one color and we hear no from one color, which they've got people on their side.
Yeah.
Do you think this is fair for these colors to actually be taking sides?
I don't think so.
I don't, because
Why not?
I mean, if you're gonna say this color is that decision and that color is that decision, then what's the point of, you know, having that own decision for yourself? Because then you base the decision on a color, and then that's not supposed to be the case, because that decision is your own. That decision is your right. So what's the sense of having your right go with the color? Because if I say yes, it's this color. If I say no, it's that color. That shouldn't be the case, because if my choice is my choice, without any color with it, without any party with it, that's just for me.
So what I'm hearing from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that your choice, you kind of hold yourself back from what choice you'll make, because it also becomes a party alignment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. And especially for your first time vote.
Yeah.
How much of a concern is that for you?
It's very hard because, as I have mentioned, you know, my family, we're kind of like very political. So if I'm voting by this side, and they're like, oh, you're just going because this party, this color is going that way. But it's not that. It's just I informed myself, and it's how I feel. And I get a lot of comments about it. They're telling me that, oh, you're just doing it, because your family's this color and whatever. And like, I just try. I'm just like, that's not my. I'm just like, it's very hard for me to go about saying what I'm voting, because I always get like comments back about
because
it.
Because
there's judging me.
Party.
Yes, there's putting me with a party.
You sound, from what I'm getting from you, is that this stresses you out, especially because of the whole political part of things. Do you have any regrets that you registered?
Not really. I just kind of regret that I would tell people what side I'm voting.
Really?
Yeah, because you know, they don't really respect your opinion. They just go and they believe that what they're voting is right and what you're voting is not right, because you're not along with them. And I just think it shouldn't be that way. You know,
Anyone of you? Right.
Anyone else has put out publicly what they're voting and gotten a response?
I personally haven't, because I feel like, I mean, if people who do are very opinionated on what they're gonna vote, you know, I respect them. But for me, I just want to keep that decision for myself internally, because that's how I am. Because if I choose that way and if I speak about it, then it just might backlash on me, on certain people, because they're gonna think, oh, I think this certain way. But then they don't know what I'm thinking, and they don't know why I'm choosing this decision. So at the ending of the day, I just keep it to myself, so that, you know, everybody, nobody wins or lose, because that's just my opinion, and it's to myself.
So you're decided. You know, come April 10th. You are too. What about you two?
I am not.
You're undecided.
Yes, I'm on the fence still.
All right, so I'm going to give you some time. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll start talking about some of the questions and some of the things that you've heard that you still don't quite understand, and the burning questions that we are yet to hear answered from your perspective. That's what we'll tackle as soon as we come back from the break. Stay tuned. We're back and continuing our conversation with first-time voters. They have registered. They are going to participate in the April 10th referendum. And they're here with us to share their thoughts, their experiences, and their burning concerns. We have with us Britney Hulse and Roberto Ramirez. We also have Giannie Vasquez and Jaime Mejia. So, Jaime, before we went to the break, you told us that you were still undecided in what you're going to do on referendum day. And so I want to ask you, what are some of the questions that you want to hear answers to that would help you to make that decision?
Right. Well, I think first and foremost, I want to know what exactly is Guatemala claiming, because I know they're claiming land, but up to what degree? Because whenever I see them draw their maps, they're drawing like the whole country, right? And then I hear some people say it's like up to Belmopan, some people say it's just like around Sarstoon area.
Have you asked a question and have you gotten?
Well, I asked on an online forum and I just keep getting mixed results, and it's a unique
a few of them.
thing.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else have questions that they just haven't heard answered that they think is important?
B?
I don't think so. I feel like they just need a clear, like a debate where it's the pros of cons voting yes and the pros of cons voting no, because then it's just like, because of all the debates that's going on, it's just pushing one side, and it's just like, it's not giving you a clear, like, reasoning of like voting.
Have you heard the pros of a yes vote?
Yes.
Everybody, yeah? You've gotten all the pros. Have you heard the cons of a yes vote?
I mean, there's some very implicit ones.
Yeah. Okay, have you heard the pros of a no vote?
Yeah, that's why it's like, it's not really out there that I feel like less informed about like the pros and cons about the no vote, or the pros of cons about the yes vote, you know.
Okay. Now, in making your decision, what really is the deciding factor for you?
Let's go, Rob.
I need to think about this. The deciding factor in, well, my vote.
In making your decision.
Making my decision. I'm still kind of on the fence about it. It's there, but it's not really a solid kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for me, I just, like as I've mentioned before, I just feel strong by my side. So I just think that maybe, you know, as I said, my vote will make a difference. So maybe I can save the country by voting and putting in my, exercising my right as a Belizean.
For me, it's like, does the reward outweigh the risks, right? Because, I mean, if we lose so much, I mean, it's a scary prospect to have in our heads,
So you were saying there are three options on the table.
Yes. So one, we don't go, and I guess the dispute continues. Two, we go and we win, and after that, I guess they don't have a claim anymore on us. I don't know if they persist, because countries tend to do that, right? And three, we go and we lose, and after that, I guess we just have to move on.
What's losing, though? What's your definition of losing?
And that's what I want to have cemented concretely, because I don't know to what degree they're claiming, right? But to me, losing, it means we lose a large portion of our country. Our country's already small, so losing any land is like a lot. Yeah, so.
Okay.
And just like a moral defeat as well, I think, because, I mean, we're a very young nation.
Yeah.
And I feel like our people, they need to get this sense of patriotism instilled more in them. And so something like that, I guess it could hurt the morale.
They'll just always have the dispute. Guatemala always will be coming over into the Chicabo, trying to get the gold or the Chate's leaf. Like, it will always be going on. Even with this or without this, they'll still be trying to cross our borders illegally to steal from our forests.
So you're saying that even if we go, we vote yes, we go, we win, the Guatemalans will still be coming in?
I mean, I believe so. They'll still be trying to cross the borders to come in. Because it's not like a strict, like, the border security where, however they're trying to get in, they'll still continue trying to get in.
Yeah. And also, if we win the yes vote, what does that mean for the country? Do we get, for example, say, like, worldwide countries supporting us. They're like, oh, if they continue encroaching, we're gonna put sanctions on Guatemala or something. Like, what does that mean for Guatemala? If there's nothing to enforce it behind, nothing to enforce that judicial decision, then what is it doing for the nation? So that's, I guess that's another one of those questions.
Another questions. Yeah, I'm hearing quite a few questions coming out now. Any from you? Or you are resolved? You said at one point, like sometimes you kind of second guess yourself, which I think is natural. Like big decisions are hard. And that's why I keep on saying it on the show. If you're undecided, it's fine. It's a big decision. I want to know that you're putting some thought into it.
Yeah, well, I am thinking about it, but I still believe more than likely I am standing by my decision because I've researched and I've read and I've done everything that I can to inform myself. So I believe my side is, well, I just stand strong by my side, so I just believe my side.
There is so much history to this issue. I mean, it is, you're going back centuries. You're not just talking about going back a few decades.
It is a lot of readings.
And so that's what I was going to ask you. Where do you get your information from? How much is it necessary for you to understand the full scope of the 200 years? Or do you just want to know kind of just the recent stances that we've taken and what's happening in Guatemala now and Belize?
Well, I did most of my research through online personally because I haven't been able to go to the debates and forums at school because of classes. So through online research, you just mostly get like the history of it and about the treaties and everything that's going on, and then you get also see the biasness and the people attacking each other online about when they opinionate their vote of how they're going. So that's it.
I actually skipped a large portion of Belizean history because of the high school I went. So we did world history. So my 4 years of high school, I was very, out of the scope of, Belizean history. So it's just recently until I started, UB and going to UB, started getting back into like Belizean history, getting back into the history of Belize. So that's when, and with, age, I'm not that old, but with age, you kind of appreciate how, the history of Belize comes into play, and you get more appreciated about it. So I feel like that's how I got my history through UB when I started UB.
Yeah, very much so. I took history in high school, but I'm going to be honest, I was like a really bad student, and in that history class,
So all the last minute cramming didn't make it stick.
Yeah, no, but I'm taking history again right now at the university, and I feel like I've learned quite a bit, like just looking over all the treaties and agreements that have been made. And I did a little bit of reading. There's a book from Asad Shoman. I read a few like clips here and there about it, and that was rather interesting. But I think I still need a lot more reading to do.
Question here though, today is a very big day. Today could actually put in place if the referendum will actually go to a later date, or if it's going to stick to April 10th. Now, would you be disappointed if they change the referendum date from April 10th to a further date? Anybody would be disappointed, or would you feel comfortable about it? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, there's pros and cons to it. Like pros, you want to kind of vote and just get it over with and, wait for the results. And then cons that, pros would be, you get a little more, you have more time to educate yourself and inform yourself. And then the cons would be, you just wanted to get it over with, and, you just kind of got held back because it got to a later date. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I feel like some people are going to be really happy if it does go back, so that they can do more research, be more informed, and get more educated about it, because there's a lot of people who aren't really educated and informed about it. And I think it should be known that you should get educated and informed about it, because I feel like a lot of people aren't going to go to vote because they don't know what side to go on, because they're not really informed that well. And some people are going to be really sad because, they just want to get it over with, because they're just postponing the inevitable. Whereas, if you put back the date, then you put back again, you're just, like I said, just postponing the inevitable. So some people are going to be like, let's get it over it. Some people are going to be like, oh, thank goodness we can do more research. I have more time to think about my vote. I have more time to realize which side am I going to go on.
What about you, Britney? How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like there's pros and cons of pushing it back or leaving it as the same. Pushing it back will just people be more informed about the topic, and also to pick up their voters' ID, because you know how they had the re-registration. It's just like up to last month they started to distribute them, and like I know a lot of people that hasn't picked it up yet, and so it gives them more time for that.
All right. So one of the propositions that's been put forward is that this is just not the time for us to settle this, that we need to wait, that we need to wait until people like you or people who are still in high school are expert international lawyers and will take this case, or whatever field you're in. Maybe you'll be the history professor at UB by then.
Wow.
But
who knows?
Yeah, you never know. But in other words, it isn't urgent for us to tackle now, and that your generation can take care of it later on. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I feel like that school of thought's been around for a little while now, and that's why we're here.
So we've just been delaying it for so long.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is that maybe the older generation might delay it for us, and if we don't take care of it, we're going to delay it for our kids.
And then our grandkids, and then, you know, the cycle just continues.
Yeah.
But if and when they leave it for us, the new generation, I think they should, you know, have a more stronger way to spread awareness, and a better way to spread awareness towards our generation, because our demographic, we want to have an opinion, but at the same time we don't, because we just don't want. I feel like because of the college with the decision and everything, it kind of, you know, hinders our way of wanting to decide of which side we're going to go against, because they're going to be like, I don't want to choose that because of this, and they're just going to be very, they just won't have an opinion. So I feel like the more you spread general awareness and general facts so that they can form an opinion of their own, then more people are going to be like, oh, I need to make a vote and I need to make a stand.
So what I hear is it doesn't matter to you if you settle it now or settle it later. Like, you just want a more transparent, balanced campaign, education process. Yeah.
But in my opinion, right, I think we're just scared of the consequences, and sometimes I guess that's just going to keep us stagnant there. And I mean, the same consequences are probably going to be existing later on. They've been existing since the beginning of our history, right? So I guess the conditions are going to remain rather equal.
Yeah. What about you? Does it matter if you vote now or vote 25 years from now?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I mean, I still believe that I still believe by what I voted, what I am, well, I will vote. I still believe that would be the better way, because as you know, as the years go by, these generations, they're getting like smarter and smarter, and we never know that what if 25 years from now Guatemala gets a new president. They're much more educated, and so they finally say, you know, let's just reason with Belize, and they recognize our borders, and we come to a defined, or you know, like a settlement, an agreement, and we both just respect each other's borders. And so if years from now that's happened, then I believe then that would be great. But if it doesn't happen, then I just still believe we should inform ourselves, and we will have more time, I guess, to inform ourselves and educate ourselves about this entire situation that's happening, dispute. Yeah.
But whether or not there's a delay, you're prepared for your vote.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah. So you guys really have my wheels turning this morning. There's a thing about your particular age. You know, you're getting educated. You're university students. You are starting to understand the responsibilities and challenges of adulthood. A little bit of what you know will lie ahead, finding jobs, you know, having a stable country, economy, whatnot. And you really see, what's great about your age is that you see the potential of what it could be. And then you have all these old people who have to make the decisions for you, right? When you watch just around you and the level of the conversation at the university level, are you satisfied that perhaps Our Young Minds, your friends, all of you together, are really seeing kind of a united picture that we want a better Belize, that we have to be the ones to influence it? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like a lot of people think that we need a better Belize, but we don't want to, take up that responsibility and make a change. Because we're going to be like, oh, we want a better Belize, but I mean, we don't really want to do anything about it. That's just the reality of, some people in our age think. And it's sad to say because I feel like our generation can make such a huge difference if we just come together and just put a stand to the stuff that's going on in our country. Because a lot of us are turning 18 and 19, and there's so many of us just coming of age now, coming into adulthood. We're young adults, and if we just come together and make a stand, I feel like a lot of things could change.
Yeah, because there's so many new voters this elections since the past elections. So many people has become legal and turned the age of voting. So there's majority of votes, or not majority, but a lot of new voters will be for this. Will be making a decision this referendum.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if we were to say what usually happens is that all our bright minds go to college and get a great job and they settle somewhere else other than Belize because that place doesn't have much going on anyway, right? I won't make the money for the degree I've earned. I won't have the lifestyle that I have here. How many people are you finding in your own cohorts that are seeing dreams beyond the borders of Belize?
I think that's a widely accepted dream here. That people want to study and they want to be successful, and then they think that going abroad is the only way of doing that.
Yeah.
Why? Why can't they be successful here?
Well, I guess a lot of times, for me, right, my aspirations would be engineering or something of that sense. And sure, we do have a few engineering firms here, but say if you want to do something, for example, like aerospace engineering, it's kind of difficult to do that here, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like a large part of that is because we're a very new country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, whenever, say, you've made your life or something, it would be nice if a lot of these people would come back and give back to the country, maybe build up something new.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like another thing here in Belize is that they want to go abroad because you can study here in Belize, you can get an associate's degree, you can get a bachelor's degree, but the scary thing about it is that it's hard to find a job after that. It's hard to, get a stable job, get a stable salary if you don't know people. If you don't have the hookup, you don't have the link, the connections.
Yes.
I know this guy who knows a guy, so I can get this job. The reality of it, a lot of people have gotten jobs because of that. You can't go out of your way, send your resume to different places and hoping you can get a good job. That's just the sad reality of it. So a lot of people are gonna think, oh, if I can't get it here, then I'm just gonna go abroad. I'm just gonna go to another country where it's fair, fair to a certain extent, and I can get a job there and get a stable salary. And I feel like that's when they're kind of bitter, to the country, whereas I got this somewhere else rather than my own home country. But for my opinion, I love Belize so much, so I want to stay in Belize, and I want to give back to our country.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to study abroad or even get work experience abroad. There's nothing wrong about it. I'm just asking how many people aspire to make their life abroad versus because of what they want to study or because of what you're saying, which has been a common challenge for a long time, the nepotism and the kind of connection way that people elevate themselves versus what they've studied or how hard they work. But let's take it back to the ICJ, right?
Let's get back.
All right. Now, the conversation in this country at this time, let me step back a bit, right? So we're doing this show called Mapping the Guatemalan Claim. We look back and seeing stories from even before I could remember news stories too, which was interesting. So I kind of asked people how it's going, whatnot. And one of the interesting observations that I've heard, I'm going to pitch it to you, is that from 1991, when we started or flashback for the show, to today, the players are the same. The politicians are the same.
Politicians.
The faces are the same. What does that mean for you?
I mean, I just feel like it's really hard to get new faces into the government because of all the connections and such that's going on in this country. We know our government system is very corrupt. Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like they're just we know we all know that it is the truth. Like everybody knows that. So,
I mean, if it's the same faces and it's the same people and we still haven't had any kind of change, you know, the reality of is that maybe we need new faces, maybe we need new people, maybe we need like better, not to say better people, but like people who might make an actual difference. Because if you're just in a cyclical kind of way where you're just, it's the same people, it's the same thing, you go in a cycle, you go in a cycle. So, you know, kind of ideally, if you put someone new, maybe you get a change. If you put someone, you know, different, you might get a change out of it and something might actually happen.
Well, yeah, again, I think what they've said is true. Like, it's like a game of basketball or something. You can just keep pitting the same people against each other. It gets kind of boring.
CM5.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely I think there needs to be a little bit of a rotation there.
And for you?
Yeah. Well, I agree with everyone here. It's just like the same people again, and sometimes, like, you know, they want new people, or how I should say, new people want to step in then because they have dreams and they have ambitions. They feel they know what they can do can make a country a better place. But maybe because they're not known by a lot of people, you know, they're not like. They're not put to the position to it. You're not given a chance because they're like, oh, I don't know you, but I know this one because he grew up here, so I'm voting for him. So it's like, it's very biased in a sense that, you know, they want to choose the same people that they know instead of giving other people the opportunity. And again, and then it's very political because you can say maybe there's someone out there that, you know, they want to take on the job, they want to take on the position, but they're not. Maybe they said, I'm, like, let's just say, I'm UDP and this person is PUP. I'm not going to go vote for them because that's not my party. Yeah, a lot of people, it's just very political, and they just stand behind their collar instead of saying, I'm going to give the person a chance and see if they can make the country a better place.
Which leads me to and I'm glad you went that route, because the question was in my mind. We know that we want things to change, and political victimization is real. It's right out there.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing it out to you four. Would you guys run for political office?
That's a really good question, but I feel like it's a iffy kind of situation because I personally say we do want to change, and you know, a change is really needed in Belize to like better the country. But I wouldn't know if I'm up to task for that kind of responsibility. Especially for like what I study and stuff like that, because we're all science students and stuff. So I wouldn't say we're not best fit for the thing, but at the same time, it's on the fence. It's, you know, we don't know.
I wouldn't mind, actually, maybe sometime later in life, running for political office, maybe when I'm a little wiser. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that a scientist would be a great person to run for political office. We have a very different take on many different things. And
imagine you heading up the Ministry of Natural Resources.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and for example, I take physics and math. And for me, this course, more than anything, has just taught me how to think and think outside the box, because you really have to see things through a different scope. And I think that's a very useful skill, especially if you're doing something like leading a country, or even just leading a particular sector of a country. It's important that you're able to have great critical thinking skills. So I think a scientist would be great.
Yeah.
I want to jump off of that point here in developing critical thinking skills. This decision is about being critical thinkers.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not saying that going with an emotional decision is wrong. It's just better when you kind of inform yourself for your own position. I want to ask, if you were to take over, and it's the last leg really, this campaign in educating Belizeans, just so they can make up and feel more comfortable in knowing that they've weighed the options and they're comfortable with their yes, or they've weighed the options and comfortable with their no, what would you do differently?
Make it less political and biased.
So you tell political parties, close your mouth.
Yeah.
Don't tell me how you're gonna vote.
Yeah.
First, okay.
So
first
they could be like more informed of like the straight facts about it, more than just being biased about it.
Would you tell them why that was a bad decision for you as voters? If there were or future prime minister or leader of the opposition right here, why would you tell him that that did not help you?
Because it just makes it less like, you know, people just voting because of the party. It's not making it because of their own opinion on it. It's just following their party because, you know, they're getting something out of it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What I would tell myself is it's very much like when you vote for anything else. A lot of people, they just vote, you know what, my parents voted blue, so I will vote blue. Or my parents voted red, I'll vote red. And it kind of ties back in. So they're like, you know what, this is what my party's going, and I will wholeheartedly just jump in right after them with whatever they're saying without knowing what I'm doing. Yeah. So personally, like when you vote, I wouldn't even vote for a color. I'm voting for an individual. Yeah. Like I look at the policies that this person is putting out there. What do they believe in? What is their values? And that's what you vote for, not the color. Yeah. And so really color should be relevant to the whole conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely taking that out.
So you're saying how would we change it?
Yeah, I'm gonna put you in charge.
So I'm gonna say what all of us are thinking, and we actually got together the night before about it, and we spoke about it, about all the, you know, the signs and stuff. Yeah. Because we're in Belmopan and we drive around going to school and whatnot, and we see the signs, and I'm just gonna speak about it right now.
Go ahead.
We see about the signs and be like, you know, Cayo is west, sugar is sweet, vote yes, and we're just like, how is that relevant to the decision? How is that? So I'm gonna be in this thing and I'm gonna be like, Cayo is west and sugar is sweet. So I'll just vote yes. So that doesn't really make a difference. So I'm like, how? I'm just like, how? So, and we were driving from Belmopan here, and there's a big billboard with you know, political leaders, and, you know, a picture of them on the billboard, and it says, we are voting yes. I'm just gonna say, if we were in charge of the campaign, I wouldn't put no face to a vote. If you put a face to a vote, then the vote just becomes irrelevant because you're voting for the face. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what would your billboard say?
My billboard would just state the fact. There's a billboard I actually saw. It says, you know, have a decision, vote now. Just, you know, spread awareness that, you know, be informed, go vote. Your decision and your opinion matters in this country, instead of being, you know, Cayo is west, this face is gonna say yes.
None of those faces matter.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's
even
one
like
decision.
Our great historical leaders, because you know that one has really upset people with Philip Golson and George Price.
George Price.
Yeah,
yes.
That doesn't influence you?
Because I mean, not to say, who's to say that they would say yes and who's to say they would say no, because sadly they're not here, and that's just the reality of it. The billboards and the signs should just be neutral and general. Be informed. That's the most important thing with this decision, is to be informed and get educated. And the second most important thing is that your vote matters. No matter, you know, if you don't think it is, just go vote. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I think another thing would be having very well put, condensed pros and cons of everything. And with them, maybe you attach some links where they can further read on, right? Yeah. And because our information is very spread out and incoherent, and so you're reading a lot of different things everywhere, and honestly, people don't want to do that. People want to go to like one place and get everything they need. Yeah. So it would have been nice if they could have collaborated and made like one solid pros and cons list, and maybe
you understand if you're pushing one side, going into the cons is,
yeah, it gets a little biased there.
Giving your enemy or your opponent.
And that's why there shouldn't be an enemy. Our enemy
opponent.
There shouldn't be an opponent in that sense. Our opponent should be Guatemala. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't have opponents here. Here we should have straight facts and people deciding, you know what, this is what I wholeheartedly believe is the best for the country. So this is what I will vote.
Question. You know, as somebody asked me the question, and I want to throw it out to you guys. Do you guys believe that Guatemala is actually listening to what we're saying and how we're saying it, and better putting themselves in a better position to, if we should go to the ICJ, putting themselves in a better position to come out with a W? Do you guys believe this?
I would be listening to the other countries to see how they are thinking about it, so they could be trying to get what information on how Belize is thinking and how they are thinking. I think we should be doing the same thing of trying to see how Guatemala is at, you know. Because, and I'm sure, maybe not everybody in Guatemala, I'm sure some people are listening in from Guatemala or hearing of what Belizeans are saying about the whole ICJ situation.
What do you see as the future Belize-Guatemala relation? You see, the dispute is something that's been happening so long, and it just depends on where you are, the experience that you'll have. But what do you see as young Belizeans when you take over in your own professional realms? What is the future of the Belize-Guatemala relationship in your eyes?
I feel like after this whole decision, it's going to be kind of on the rock. I mean, it can be good and it can be, because some people are going to be like, oh, you're Belizean, don't talk to me. And then other people might just be neutral and be like, oh, you're just another person. So it's just depending on the people and their like the beliefs and their morals, if they're going to, you know, bash on you and attack you for being Belizean, or just going to be neutral because you're just a regular person.
I think for me it's too soon to say, due to the fact that this vote hasn't occurred yet.
Okay.
Because really what would shape that decision, or that projection, rather to say, would be the outcome of this vote.
Okay.
But ideally, I'd hope we'd have peaceful relations, because at the end of the day, they're our neighbor. And you don't want to be beefing with your neighbor all the time.
All right, so we're running out of time so quickly, and I'd love to keep this conversation going, but I want to give you the opportunity. There are other young voters out there who just feel like maybe, I don't even want to bother. You know, I don't want to vote yes or no and be tainted blue or red for the rest of my life. I don't think they're going to listen to me anyway. I don't think my vote matters. And there are undecided people out there who are just saying, will I be able to come up with the right decision by next week? So I want you all individually to kind of just put out a message about why your vote does matter and why it's important to participate. So who want to start? Jump off.
Okay, I'll just start. So I just want to say everyone's vote matters, because you may think you have, this example, I say me, I'm just it's just one vote. I don't think my vote matters, but you can be saying that, and then there's 200, 400 other people saying that, you know, their vote doesn't matter, and that's 400 votes can make a really big difference. So I just want to say that, you know, people should go out there and inform themselves, educate themselves. And you know, if they want any, if they don't know where to get information, they can go ask. They can go ask, where can I find information about ICJ and whatever, and they can go online, do their own reading, and I forgot what I was gonna say.
Go online, do their own reading.
Yeah, and then and that at the end of the day, just stand by their own opinions and do not allow anyone to manipulate them and tell them this is what we should have voted, or this is what you should vote, or whatever. You stand by your opinion, because that's what you believe is best.
I would definitely just encourage people to look beyond any color or anything and objectively decide what you believe in and vote for it, and just know that even if you voted yes or no on this day, you took a stand for what you believed was the best for the country, and regardless of the outcome, you didn't just stand by and do nothing, which is worse.
Well, for me, it's just that, you know, get informed, because get informed, get educated. You think your vote may not count, but at the same time, at the ending of the day, it does count, because this is your country. You have a choice in this, and if you spread awareness with your friends and influence them to vote and whatnot, you know, that's going to be an even bigger impact. So just get informed. Ask all the questions you want to ask. Ask as many as you want to ask, because the more you ask, ask as much as you want, ask as many as you want, because at the ending of the day, you need to be informed, and your vote will matter at the ending of the day.
Yeah, your vote does matter. I think you should exercise your vote, as we are young Belizeans. We should exercise it and just be patriotic to our country and be well informed. Have casual conversations with your friends. If you don't have time for the forums, I'm sure 1 in 5 people know something about the ICJ, so they could just spread about, you know, the awareness of it and their thoughts about it, or just facts about it, so they could be informed and make their decision clearly based on the information and not based on politics.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I was looking forward to this conversation, and you guys definitely delivered. I appreciate it, and best of luck.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to go ahead and take a final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up, so stay tuned.